I now make $15,000 to $20,000 a month consistently, and if I had known this knowledge back when I was 17, not 27, I would have reached this goal much sooner. And I'm making this video so that you reach this goal much sooner than I did, and by the time that you're my age, you're way more successful than I am. Right now you might be spending your days sitting in class wondering if learning all of this info is actually gonna be worth it. Perhaps you're seeing people your age or not much older be massively successful online, and yet you're there sitting behind a desk learning stuff that you probably won't ever use in your day-to-day life. It's basically useless. And you feel torn because deep inside you, you know that this system is basically a scam, unless you want to pursue being a doctor or a lawyer, which is a completely separate story. But everybody around you seems to fall for it, including your parents, your friends, and virtually everybody that you're surrounding yourself with. They tell you that this is the way to go, and so you immediately default back into thinking, well, all of these people surrounding me couldn't all possibly be wrong, right? After all, a lot of the people that are reinforcing this belief back to you are adults. And adults have more experience in the world. They've seen more things, and therefore, they should know better, right? I understand how you feel perfectly because I was in that same spot not that long ago. It's hard to know that the one truth that everybody's trying to shove down your throat, or the belief that they fell for that you can see past, is nothing but a smokescreen. This is a typical go to school, get good grades, don't stray off the path, graduate high school, then go off to college. Repeat the exact same process until you get a degree. And then use this piece of paper to get a good paying entry job. And after 3, 5, or even 10 years, you will get a promotion. And this promotion will guarantee you job security. And you will be able to pay the bills, and you're gonna be able to pay your student loans, and you will start a family because that is the right thing to do. Buy a home and then keep working until you can finally retire at 65, when you can finally travel and enjoy your life. And look, there's nothing wrong with this life. Actually, the vast majority of people follow it. And well, if it works for you and if it works for them, then I think that's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But you probably clicked on this video because you want to learn an alternative way of doing things. Almost like a separate, non-traditional way of going about life to reach your goals much sooner and to, well, become financially independent. You're watching this video because you actually see through the veil or the smoke screen of this promised Neverland. This lie that we were sold about how to live. You understand that we've been fed this lie to make us better workers or better employees and specialize in a specific sector of work so that our skills become very valuable to somebody else. So now this is the reality that you've been sold, but it is the reality that you see through. The reality that you can't help to notice is a bit off, and you dread living the way everybody else is trying to make you live. There's just something inside you begging for another route, begging to escape that reality, and yet you can't seem to bring yourself to act on it for some reason. Your inspiration to reach new heights and become financially independent peak at around 2 a.m. when you're watching videos like these, but then by the next morning, that motivation just fades. It never goes anywhere. So why does that happen? Now, this is arguably the hardest thing to get over, but once you do, I promise you that the world can be yours. And I believe that this whole motivation and then lack of action happens for 2 main reasons. And now reason number 1 is the easiest to fix. And that is very simple. It's just that you don't know what you don't know. That means that you can't see a clear path. Your vision is a little bit foggy because you don't actually know which step to take first. You simply don't know where to start. And that's okay. The fix for that is actually very simple. And I'm sure you can already imagine it, but I'll tell you how to fix it shortly. But now the second reason of why this happens is much more important and is way harder to overcome. Because to fix this, you need to let go of what you think you know, and that can be scary because you must admit to yourself that you don't know everything and that your worldviews might be wrong. But that is perfectly fine, and it is by no fault of your own. Let me explain. You see, ever since you were born, you were given a name, a financial status, probably a religion, probably a culture, and therefore a way of living. And as you grew, you internalized everything that people around you told you. How to live, how to act, what to believe in, what not to believe in, what is right, what is wrong, etc. And now you absorbed all of this information from your parents, from your siblings, from teachers, from friends, from relatives, and many other people that had authority over you. And you absorbed all of this information and have made it your truth. And now it lives inside of you, almost shaping your reality because it lives in your subconscious mind. And whether you realize it or not, these beliefs can sometimes be working against you. You see, it is said that about 95% of our daily decisions and behaviors are actually dictated by the subconscious mind, which is that dormant part of you that is always watching, always observing, always learning, always taking in information. And as far as I've learned, it does this to make sense of the world so that you can live and not die. But what happens when all of this information that you've stored ever since you were born is a lie, or it doesn't go hand in hand with the version of you that you want to become, the version of you that wants to be financially free. What if who you want to become is simply not compatible with how you are wired right now? Now we're really asking questions. What happens if that is the case? Well, I'll tell you what happens. Exactly what I just told you. You watch one video, you get motivated, you get inspired, and then by the next morning, all of a sudden, all of your plans just get stored away. And the conclusion of this is very simple. Your subconscious mind, which is arguably 95% of your mind, doesn't actually believe that you can accomplish your dreams. 95% of your mind believes that your dreams are unachievable or impossible, and you're not even aware of it. So of course it's gonna happen when the 5% of your mind, the one that is conscious, the one that you're using to watch this video right now, makes plans, gets inspired, and wants to achieve an outcome, and is super motivated, but then it has no shot competing against 95% of itself. So then how the heck do you finally get over it? Well, the answer is very simple. The answer is that you simply have to surround yourself with people that are already living what you want to live. Surround yourself with like-minded people who also want to pursue something much bigger than themselves. But then this creates a whole new problem. How do you do that? How do you do that when you're clearly going to school and everyone is pursuing the exact opposite of what you want to achieve? Well, my friend, the answer is actually right in front of you. If you're watching this, that is the answer. You are lucky enough to have been born in the era of the internet. You are lucky enough to be able to connect with people across the world with just a few taps on your phone. That is completely unheard of. And this is a tool that everybody has access to, and it's a tool that lives in your pocket. Do you realize the immensity of this opportunity that you have? Now, I'm about to tell you how big this actually is, because you might not be actually internalizing the immensity of this. Look, when I was in high school and early college, I actually did this. I was watching people like Ty Lopez and Alex Becker, and I would just take endless notes on their free programs because I couldn't afford the paid stuff. And I was learning, yes, but I was also surrounding myself with online mentors who didn't even know that I existed, but they were still present in my life regardless. I was absorbing their knowledge on topics like business, money, funnels, ads, advertising, and slowly but surely, as you're absorbing all of this knowledge from the people that you surround yourself with, you start thinking like them. I was knocking out two birds with one stone. You see, I was learning what I didn't know, which was reason number one of why this whole motivation happens and then it just fades away. At the same time, absorbing their knowledge, I was fixing reason number two, which is I was simply believing that that reality was possible for me. And now this happened to me with different online mentors that I resonated with as time went by. And this will happen to you as well. As you keep learning more and more, you will see that different YouTube videos catch your attention more than others. And you might stick to that creator for a while. For example, this happened to me with Gary Vee, which is how I got out of depression back in the day. And sure, Gary's a beast entrepreneur and I learned so much of business from him. But at the same time, when I needed it most, he taught me perspective. And this kept happening with different topics and different strategies with different creators as time went by. And I didn't really conceptualize it at the time, but they were all shaping who I was becoming. And my brother, my sister, you're lucky enough to be watching this in an era where creators like these are nothing short of abundant. There are so many successful creators that really know their shit that are willing to teach you for absolutely free if you just watch their content. And as you do, you will also absorb their perspective. And essentially, you are surrounding yourself with them. Some that I personally really look up to and I consume their content daily is Alex Ramosi, Iman Gaji, Gary Vee, Alex Becker to this day still, Don Martell, and many others, which I'm very sorry if I didn't mention your name and you're actually watching this for some reason. But I digress. These people literally pour their knowledge in free content. And if you just start consuming it more, you will eventually get closer and closer to their way of living and the way that they see things or the way that they understand things, their perspective, otherwise called their frequency. And as you consume that content more and more, you will start understanding their perspective or the way that they see things, like making money, their philosophy on life, and different other little things that will allow you to change your reality. The reality in which everyone around you is telling you that your ideas are nothing but dreams and that dreams rarely come true. So now the last point that I want to make is arguably the most valuable one. And I hope that you really understand this because when I was 17 or 18, I understood this at the cognitive level, but I hadn't internalized it yet. Meaning that I was not putting it into action because I didn't actually believe it. And had I internalized it, my process would have been so much faster. And again, this point is divided into two parts. Part number one is something that you've heard over and over again. But please, I implore you to reflect on this and even meditate on it so you actually not just understand it, but you internalize it, you feel it. And this is, whose voice are you listening to? Whose voice are you listening to in your head that's preventing you from doing all of the great things that you know you have to do, that you know you are meant to do? And why are you still listening to them? If there's one thing that I've actually experienced in my life that I learned a long time ago from other successful people, is that only those who are miserable, only those who are insecure, only those that are scared of you reaching your dreams, of you reaching your goals, those are the only people that will shit on you and try to get you down, because they actually want to bring you down to their misery, because misery loves company. Because when you talk to successful people, people who actually went through hell and they put ungodly amounts of hours and effort into their business and craft and actually made something out of their life, they will never shit on you. Most of them are actually willing to help you, and all you have to do is ask for their advice. When you talk to successful people, they actually love to guide and show you where they went wrong, what they wish they would have done differently. So what I'm getting to is that if you're getting hate and pessimism from other people, people who are shitting on you, people with no goals and no ambitions, just ask yourself the following: would you trade places with them? Would you switch all of what you are and who you are to be in their place? The answer is hopefully a resounding no. And so if you wouldn't switch places with them, then that means that their life is literally irrelevant to yours. And if that's the case, then why would you allow them to dictate what you do with your life? Does that make sense? Hopefully this perspective shift finally made you internalize the absurdity of listening to haters, or the absurdity of being insecure by a comment of somebody hiding behind a screen. And now the second part of this last point is something that I talk a lot about on my TikTok, and that is that it's okay to not have a fully finalized plan. It's okay to not have a plan at all. I didn't. I was just a kid who had a passion for art or photography and always followed the next skill that complemented my existing skills. And eventually the world told me that all of these skills put together had value. Like, just think about it. How would you ever plan that loving to draw in elementary school, which is arguably the reason why my art always kept evolving and I always pursued complementary skills, and then getting stabbed with a pencil in middle school would then lead me to run a marketing agency that makes 10, 15, 20K a month? There's absolutely just no way to plan that. You should listen to that story, because I promise you that by the time you finish that video, you're gonna have much more trust in life about how everything happens for a reason. But I digress. This is what I would have loved my 17-year-old self to internalize, because I would have been much less scared to act. So if you want to see specifically how getting stabbed with a pencil then led me to run this agency, then go ahead and tap on this video next, and I'll see you over there.